Did you know that one of the deadliest serial killers in the world was only 7 years old? In today's episode, we explore the edge of youthful evil to uncover the stories of the world's deadliest young serial killers. From a series of baby homicides to cold-blooded luring of classmates, primarily caused by failure and abandonment in childhoods, these chilling narratives challenge our perceptions of innocence and expose the darkest potentials of the young mind. Get ready for goosebumps and make yourself comfortable. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Amarjeet Sada. In the rural village of Musahar, Bihar, a child named Amarjeet Sada became known as the world's youngest serial killer. Before turning 8, he had already taken the lives of 3 babies, including his own sister. Born to a poor family, Amarjeet's early life was marked by solitude and a disturbing shift towards brutality when given the responsibility to care for younger children. Amarjeet's method was surprisingly simple. He strangled his victims, after which he buried the small bodies under sand or dirt. Despite his chilling confessions, the local community and his family shielded him from law enforcement, fabricating stories to explain the sudden disappearances. It was not until the murder of a baby named Ushu that the authorities finally intervened, revealing a series of actions too horrific to comprehend fully. Amarjeet was spared prison time because of how the Indian judicial system handles young offenders. Instead, he was placed in a juvenile facility where he is to stay until he turns 18. Kristen Avery Pitman. Across the ocean in the United States, Kristen Avery Pitman's story unfolds with a similarly chilling escalation. Initially diagnosed with mild depression and placed on medication, Kristen's psychological state deteriorated after a sudden switch from Paxil to Zoloft. Kristen experienced severe side effects, claiming her parents were abusive and her life included earlier abandonment by her mother. As Pitman's instability escalated, marked by aggression and manic behavior, her aggressions culminated in the tragic murder of her own grandparents in Chester, South Carolina. On November 28, 2001, after conflicts at school and home, she murdered her grandparents and set their house on fire. After the murder, Kristen made up an appalling escape plan, fleeing with her grandparents' car and dog. Her initial claims of kidnapping soon crumbled under investigation, leading to a confession that stunned everyone involved. She was convicted of murder on February 15, 2005, and sentenced to 30 years in prison. In 2010, a judge granted her a new trial based on ineffective counsel, reducing her sentence to 25 years. In prison, she transitioned and was released on February 22, 2023, remaining under state supervision for 2 more years. Her case brings into question the impact of mental health treatment on young minds and the awful consequences of its mismanagement. Michael Hernandez. If you found that frightening, you'll be amused by this. Michael Hernandez, born in February 1988 in Miami, Florida, was initially seen as an intelligent and well-behaved child with exceptional academic abilities. However, a darker side lay beneath his polished exterior, contributing an obsession with death and infamousness. At just 14, Hernandez lured a classmate into a school bathroom and committed a cold-blooded murder that shocked the nation. In 2008, Hernandez was trialed as an adult, sparking debate over how juvenile offenders should be punished. The trial featured strong evidence such as surveillance footage and classmate testimonies, leading to his conviction for first-degree murder. Hernandez's trial revealed a shocking obsession with serial killers and a meticulously planned crime, raising alarms about the dangers of unchecked mental disturbances in adolescence. Despite his youth, he received a life sentence without parole, reflecting the court's view of him as an ongoing threat to society. The severity of this sentence highlighted the challenges within the juvenile justice and the appropriate measures for dealing with young offenders. Hernandez's imprisonment was marked by several unsuccessful appeals, arguing for consideration of his age. He died in prison in 2021 at age 31, with an autopsy showing he was morbidly obese and had suffered from cardiac arrhythmia. His case underscores the consequences of unaddressed mental health issues and the impacts of violent media, continuing to fuel discussions on the balance between punishment and rehabilitation in juvenile justice. Nehemiah Grego. Moving on to the next disturbing case about Nehemiah Grego, which takes place in New Mexico. Nehemiah Grego's story is a harsh story of familial annihilation. At 15, Grego used rifles from his parents' closet to execute his family in their New Mexico home. The night began with Grego shooting his mother as she slept. Awakened by the gunfire, his younger brother Zephaniah was the next to witness the horror, initially disbelieving until confronted with the gruesome sight of their mother. Grego then killed Zephaniah, followed by his 2 crying younger sisters, whom he shot in the head in their bedroom. After executing his family, Grego waited for his father to return from work at a homeless shelter and shot him multiple times with the AR-15. His actions did not stop with the murder of his parents and 3 siblings. He had plans to continue his rampage at a local Walmart, hoping to die in a shootout with police. He had been suffering from suicidal and homicidal thoughts and had accessed the weapons from his parents' closet. After the murders, he initially misled his girlfriend and church leaders by claiming his family had died in a car crash, but he eventually confessed to the killings. Under New Mexico law, minors facing first-degree murder charges are trialed as adults, though they cannot receive the death penalty or a mandatory life sentence without parole. Initially, Grego was given a juvenile sentence, but before he turned 21, the court decided he hadn't been rehabilitated and posed a continuing threat, leading to a life sentence. His legal team appealed, arguing the sentence was cruel and unusual punishment, but the appeal was denied in 2019. A judge ruled that Grego should be sentenced as an adult, making him eligible for parole at the age of 52. This case highlights the catastrophic potential of easy accessible firearms and untreated mental health issues. Grego's calculated actions and the obvious scale of his plan underscore an urgent need for systemic changes in how we address youth mental health and gun control. Brenda Spencer. Turning back the clock to 1979, Brenda Spencer committed one of the earliest school shootings in history. At just 16 years old, Spencer carried out a deadly attack that left a profound impact on her community and highlighted significant issues regarding mental health and firearm access. From her home across the street from Grover Cleveland Elementary in San Diego, she fired at children arriving at school, killing 2 adults and injuring 9. Spencer's actions prompted widespread outrage and disbelief, particularly after her arrest when she infamously stated that her motive was simply, "I don't like Mondays." This response baffled the public and professionals alike, pushing them to seek deeper answers that might explain her shocking behavior. The legal investigation into her actions revealed a troubled background marked by a fascination with firearms and symptoms of depression. After her parents divorced, she lived in poverty with her father in a home cluttered with alcohol bottles. She expressed hostility towards police and had previously been arrested for shooting out school windows with a BB gun. A psychiatric evaluation recommended her admission to a mental hospital for depression, but her father refused. For Christmas in 1978, he gave her a semi-automatic rifle instead of the radio she had requested, which was used in the tragic school shooting. In 1980, she was trialed and found guilty of murder and multiple counts of assault with a deadly weapon. Given her age at the time of the crime, she received a sentence of 25 years to life. Spencer's imprisonment has been complex. Initially hoping police would shoot her during the shooting, she later faced several parole hearings where she alleged childhood mistreatment by her father, claims he denied. She remains incarcerated with repeated denials of parole, highlighting the lasting impact of her actions and ongoing societal challenges in addressing the roots of such violence. The elementary school was closed in 1983 and has since been demolished, but the memory of the shooting remains. Her case is particularly disturbing because of her young age and the lack of clear motive, which brought national attention to the issues of gun control and the impact of domestic environments on young minds. Alyssa Bustamante. If you haven't experienced any goosebumps yet, you're about to. Yes, you heard right. Alyssa Bustamante, born in 1994 in Missouri, became infamous for a gruesome crime she committed at just 15 years old. Bustamante's crime was one of cold calculation and brutal execution. At 15, she lured her 9-year-old neighbor into the woods, strangled her, then stabbed her, and buried the body in a shallow grave. Her diary entry afterwards scarily noted the thrill of the homicide, revealing a deeply troubled psyche. The trial uncovered disturbing details about Bustamante's background, revealing a troubled childhood marked by neglect and mistreatment. She struggled with mental health issues, including depression and a history of self-harm. Her fascination with death and violence was apparent in her personal writings and drawings, contributing to a broader discussion on her psychological state. The crime sparked a national debate regarding the appropriate punishment for juvenile offenders, balancing the potential for rehabilitation against the severity of the crime. In 2012, Bustamante pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and armed criminal action, receiving a life sentence with the possibility of conditional release in 2024. This sentence highlighted the challenges and complexities of the juvenile justice system, particularly the integration of mental health considerations into sentencing and rehabilitation strategies. Bustamante's case emphasized the importance of early intervention and accessible mental health support for troubled youth, underlining the need for comprehensive approaches to prevent extreme acts of violence. The case remains a focal point for discussions on juvenile justice, raising questions about the efficacy of rehabilitation and the morality of sentencing minors to lengthy prison terms. Since her conviction, Bustamante has remained a subject of public interest and scrutiny. The debate continues over whether her age at the time of the crime and her potential for rehabilitation should factor into a possible sentence reduction. Meanwhile, others argue that the severity of her actions justifies her life sentence. An endless debate regarding the balance between punishment and the potential for rehabilitation in juvenile offenders, highlighting the complexities of addressing severe mental health issues in youth. These stories are a sharp reminder of the profound mysteries of the human condition, especially in its youngest and most volatile forms. They compel us to look harder, care more deeply, and intervene more effectively in the lives of troubled youth. Now, with these cases in mind, have young serial killers inherited a twisted, evil mind, or is it organized through their environment? Comment down below. For more true crime deep dives, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and click on the card shown on your screen right now.